The final round of this year's 24H series by Creventic is here once again at the Circuito Barcelona. The famous F1 venue plays host to a 24 hours, the traditional 24 hours of Barcelona, with a healthy grid of 32 cars. We are qualifying today, Friday afternoon, where we will have two separate sessions for our TCE, GT4, GTX and 992 categories, followed by the headline GT3 category. My name is Ben Constanduris. Alongside me is PMAC, Peter McKay, and we have Peter Snowden also in the commentary box. It is a beautiful, beautiful conditions for racing, although as per sort of this time of the year, the mountains are once again shrouded in storms. Is that storm coming towards us? It didn't yesterday. We kind of got the edge of it yesterday, and as per kind of how it is here in Barcelona, we see it but we rarely feel it. Air temperature around 20 degrees, humidity at 64, sort of perfect conditions, and they've had lots and lots of track action already through the day's test sessions and into this qualifying session. As I said, commentary box is all set. Down in the pit lane is our main man, John Hindhoff. Welcome, John.
Well, buenos dias, as they say in this part of the world. Ben, Peter, and everybody. Good to have your company. Weather is perfect, so that's why I'm out in the pit lane. But we have got something brand new this weekend, and that is a new face and a new voice here in the pit lane. Step down, please, Carla, because you're already tall enough. I don't need... This is Carla Velti, your first time as part of our team, but not your first time at a Creventic round.
Absolutely not. I've had the pleasure to be here, be with Creventic many times before, and I'm very honored to be here now with you, with the whole championship, and can't wait to see who's on pole today.
And that is what we're going to find out in the next few minutes. We are literally seconds away from the red lights at the end of pit lane, all the way down there, turning to green. So let's head back up to the booth and to the two Peters. And first, here's Ben Constanduris.
Just a minute away from a slightly delayed qualifying session after a red flag in a previous support race. Here is the calendar. Here is how we got to Barcelona for our 24-hour race. We started off at the end of March in Mugello. The legendary Spa-Francorchamps circuit played host to the 12 hours of Spa, and then we had two straight through 12-hour races in Misano and Paul Ricard. It's been a while since we went 24H series racing at the start of July, and we finish our European series here in Barcelona. But don't forget, we do travel to Malaysia, to the circuit Sepang for the first time for Creventic at the start of December to kick off the Asian and Middle Eastern leg that runs through into January in the traditional Dubai 24 hours as well. Peter, it's a great pleasure to have you back with us, having missed Paul Ricard last time out, and a healthy grid of cars.
It is, as it always is here at the 24 hours of Barcelona, where all the contenders there competing for the Trofeo Fermín Vélez. And it's always the highlight of the European season, at least. But it's amazing how quickly things go around, that we're already talking about 2025, 2026 with our first trip to Malaysia. I've had the great pleasure of going to that country in the past, and it's a wonderful place. And of course, we've got a Malaysian team with Viper Niza racing in the championship as well. And then our traditional trip to the United Arab Emirates at the beginning of January, going to Abu Dhabi, and then the traditional 24 hours of Dubai, which is always a wonderful trip, as it is to come here to Barcelona. I'm always happy to come to Spain. I love coming to Spain. The weather, the food, the people, everything about it. 15-minute
qualifying session. Well, three 15-minute qualifying sessions, in fact, to set the grid for each of our separate classes. In this particular session, we have TCE, GT4, GTX, and 992. So we're expecting those 992 cars clearly to be the headline and the top of the timing screens, but watch out for the TCE cars as well. Great to have 5 of those on the grid, and we've got 3 GT4 cars as well. So a local team with NM Racing, and our standard classic kind of full season entry of Venture, who I think have already won the GT4 championship. They are joined by Team Sorg Rennsport, who are very, very experienced in running GT4 cars, and they've got a Cayman to run. the TCE category very interesting because there's kind of a great little mix of different cars in there, Peter.
That there is, yeah. We've got a couple of Honda Civic Type Rs from THRW Honda Racing, an American team. Great to see them here. We haven't really seen a slew of TCRs in this championship for a little while. They used to be a real staple of the championship. Then the costs of TCR cars in endurance racing form became excessive, and a lot of those teams like Holmgard and Red Camel moved across to the Porsche 992 category, which had a similar kind of running cost. But so great to see the Honda there, the car that was developed by Jazz in Italy. We've also got the BMW M3 E46 in that same category of JMEC Engineering. Now, this car has a little bit of Scottish background.
Ah, yes, I remember you telling me.
Yes.
So 2 years ago you told me about this, I think.
Yes,
and it's still the same
going on
car.
about it. It's still the same car. It was originally blue. It was owned by a guy called Ian Bonthorne, who's a very quick racer at home in Scotland at Knockhill Racing Circuit. And it was actually a time attack car, and it's now been made into a 24-hour series car. Now owned by James Collins, who's brought Kevin Clark, Oliver Smith, and Stephen Cheatham with him to compete in that venerable machine. Which now, those who remember back to last year, that was the car that ran with Jimmy Broadbent, the YouTube and sim racer last time, and Nürburgring racer now, I should say more accurately. That car is going to take this first qualifying session alongside with Oliver Smith at the wheel. First of 3 15-minute qualifying sessions. If you have an AM driver, you must start the qualifying with that driver. They do 15 minutes, then you switch to another driver, and then you go to a third driver. The tyres stay exactly the same. You keep the same tyre on, but you just change the driver in between the 3 15-minute sessions. And it's not the outright fastest time, it's the aggregate of those 3 fastest time, which makes for a thrilling qualifying encounter.
We have 9 992 category cars, 7 of which are classified as AM competitors, then 2 GTXs from the Vortex machines. They should be quite fast, usually not quite as fast as the top line 992s, but they should be in the mix of things, and it's great to have the Vortex 2.0. I don't see the ones anymore. I'm sure they are sitting around somewhere, but the development, a much more attractive and more reliable machine with a decent lineup of French drivers in both of those cars. I think John is down in pit lane trying to get hold of us. So John,
I just want to trail ahead a little bit, guys. 3 15-minute sessions here, and then, of course, this is for everything except the GT3 cars. Right at the head of the pit lane is Hoffa Racing, and they are still working quite significantly on the car. It looks to me as though that they're basically broke in a set of brakes. Sorry, that's an awful bit of punnery there, but they're bedded in a set of brakes in that last session before we came qualifying, and they've just been swapping the pads back out again. They're also checking the alignment as well. This surface here is very abrasive. As you can see, they've still got the setups on the front wheels of the AMG number 11 here for Hoffa Racing. Everybody here saying temperatures of starting temperatures of the Michelin tyres and the camber levels of the tyres absolutely crucial. Now, that's a GT3 car that won't be coming out until we've done this first 3 sets of qualifying, but just proving how close to the line we are getting and how much these guys are working. And by the way, you think it's warm down here, Seb? Can we just have a look at the front of this car? It's warm, but it's not that warm. They've still got blanking tape on the front grille of the AMG. Beautiful temperature, hovering around 20 Celsius at the moment. Just about perfect to go qualifying. It'll come up, I reckon, a couple of degrees before the GT3s come out later on. Right now, we're looking at this first 15-minute session, and the key points here for those of you who are new to this, is what you can't do in terms of these sessions. So one set of tyres, fuel that you start with, and as Peter Mackay said earlier on, if you've got a bronze driver, he has to be in the car right now. All of the teams in this class saying they might find it difficult to get a clear lap with so many classes of different paces on out there. So don't worry if you see people spreading out or slowing down, trying to get a bit of room before they come onto this long front straight.
19 cars, but it is a difference in, quite a big difference in pace, and we're having a look at them following the Mulner Motorsport machine. Doesn't have an AM driver. They are all semi-pro drivers in that car, and that is why Martin Rump is a good second faster at the moment than anybody else in the field. His time a 1:44.698 plays a 1:45.868 from Fabien Dufaux, who's no slouch for Seb Lejeune Racing. In third position we have Fabien Dance in the 909 Red Camels Jordan. They're your top three in 992 with about half the session already run. We just had a quick look at that GT3 car, Peter, and of course they've got 45 minutes still before they're going out, so there's no way that that car is going to be yet in fully ready to go spec, because we've got to get 3 of these sessions through, and we've got those little 5-minute gaps in between the sessions as well. Yeah,
and potentially you can get a little bit of delay in there too, so I think they've got time as the Vortex number 974. We're going to have to get used to that. That's the sister Vortex alongside the full season car. That's the number 701, and goes in with a 1:44.659. That's fastest of any car out there on track, including the Porsche 992 Cups there. So a really strong lap from Olivier Gomez, part of the Vortex outfit. Him and his brother Arnaud founded Vortex, and this, as you alluded to, Ben, this 2.0 evolution of the Vortex, it's not even an evolution, it's a complete revolution of the existing car, and it's so much better, and the aero concept of it gives great straight line speed but good speed around the corners as well. It's a very clever little car with a big honking American V8 in it as well. It sounds fantastic. Now, a real decision for teams to make in these 3 sessions, and as we've seen from Martin Rump, he's already come into the pits. That's the little P alongside his name on our graphics. They have decided that they don't want to take too much life out of those tyres. He's done a good lap, and they're going to preserve those tyres to then roll on to the next drivers in their lineup, so that they have fresh-ish tyres versus those that go out and do the full 15-minute session and take 6 or 7 laps out of their tyres. Interestingly, the 2 Hondas that are out on circuit in the TCE category, they've got old tyres on. They've already done 20-odd laps. So by the time the session's over, they would have done 30, 35 laps. I imagine they're not too concerned about qualifying and their position on the grid, because they are going to be to the tail of the field anyway. So rather than throwing on a new set of rubber and chomping through at about €1,000, might as well just save a little bit of money and put the less fresh tyres on. Red Camels Jordan, another team have decided to save the tyres, but of course what's happening in the pits, Peter? Nothing, because you're not allowed to do anything. Fabien Dance, good lap, very good lap there actually, from Fabien Dance, a 1:45.965. It's only 1.3 seconds away from the absolute fastest in the session and indeed in class from Martin Rump.
And guys, I'm standing right in front or right alongside that Red Camel Jordan 909, and they have deliberately pulled this car in early right now, and thanks to the Lumirank system on the top right hand side of the windscreen, you can see that they're in 4th position, and DAN will flash up next. That shows Fabien Dance was in the car. So if you're not used to watching this type of racing, we're doing the best not only to help our commentators up there in the booth, but also for you to see what's going on. Now, I can feel the heat radiating from these Michelin Pilot Sport Cup H2, Cup GT H2 tyres. So that car is just going to wait there now until we get the green light and the next driver will go out. They're clearly happy with it. Spoke to Paul Trustwell beforehand. He said if they were in the top 3 or the top 4 after qualifying, they'd be very happy. This is a long race. Qualifying perhaps not quite as important as maybe the 6 or the 12-hour races. A lot of time to get things wrong, but also a lot of time to fight back from any problems.
Yeah, so the top 4 in the grid, provisional grid at the moment, all in the pits. Olivier Gomez in that Vortex 974, Martin Rump, Fabien Dufaux and Fabien Dance, although Grégory Servais in the Ajit Kumar Porsche moves up to 2nd in class and 3rd on our grid. There he is, crossing the line. Because Gregory is also an AM, it means that we won't see Ajit himself in the car, because they are then allowed to put the more experienced drivers in Q2 and Q3, and Gregory is AM, and there are 5 drivers in that car, and 2 of them are semi-pros, so we'll see those later.
My favourite story about Gregory is he used to drive with the Haas RT team. He's driven with them a few times, and he got a late call-up to drive at Estoril a couple of years ago to come and drive their GT3 car, and he basically had to tell his girlfriend, who I hope is still his girlfriend, or maybe even, actually no, I think they maybe got married, but I need to confirm that one. But anyway, his girlfriend at the time, they were going to have a new sofa. They planned to buy a new sofa, but instead he spent it on going racing. So that became a bit of a running joke in the Haas RT crown, is like, what was the sacrifice that he'd made before coming racing this time? So Gregory this time, not with Haas RT, he's decided to give the Porsche Cup car a go with Ajit Kumar Racing, but still a Belgian team running that, the Red Ant Racing team, who are such a stalwart of the 24-hour series.
Yeah, so Gregory up to 3rd overall. In fastest in GT4 at the moment is the team Sorg Rennsport Porsche that's now come into the pits. That's 427, Damon Schurgezen. And we've still got NM Racing and Venture out on circuit, although Neville Jones is in the Venture machine. And we tend to see that car creep up through the qualifying order as qualifying progresses, because again they have quite a strong semi-pro lineup in that car versus Neville, who is the AM. But it does look as though there's lots of preservation going on, because we've still got 2.5 minutes remaining of the session, and almost half the field is in pit lane. There, just going through shot, is the JMac BMW, and behind them is the Asbes Racing Mercedes GT4 car, which is it's not the Asbes, that clock is not corresponding to the car. So we've got a clock on the 111 Asbes Porsche as we watch the NM Racing Mercedes. NM Racing just round the corner from this circuit. They literally don't even need to get a truck to get their cars to this track. They are that close.
That's always handy. That's always handy. They're the Manti Racing of
Barcelona.
Of Barcelona, yes. The Asbes Porsche just coming around through turn 3 and 4 at the moment, which is just an endless right-hander.
Yeah, so that is effectively a GT4 car by the looks of things. There's a GT4 Cayman, but running in the TCE class means it obviously isn't full GT4 SRO spec. So
yes, it'll
find
be
out
homologation
why.
for some reason. Yeah, there's several things of the homologation that would take it out of that. Good to see Asbes Racing here with 2 cars. This Porsche we're talking about, the GT4 Cayman, and also the venerable Cupra Cup car, which they've been running in the 24-hour series for several years. Junichi Yamamoto has put it 2nd in category provisionally at the moment, and only just over 8/10 of a second away from JMEC Engineering, who have got by far and away the oldest car in the category, and yet they're on provisional pole in class at the moment.
It is beautiful, though. Did you get a look at it? It is so well prepared. Very, very shiny, inside and out. Not a little bit of oil in the engine bay. They had the bonnet up when I last saw it, and you know, considering it is an M3, I don't know,
that's
20 odd years.
Yeah, it's a 20-year-old car. At the very youngest, it's a 20-year-old car. Yeah, I remember when Ian Bonthron raced it in Scotland, and it was a very well prepared car then, and it's a credit to James Collins, who's done a lot of work to it since to turn it into an endurance racing car. Yeah, quite a bit of preservation. I think that's the right word, Ben, where you've you've got to be tactical. You cannot just pound round and use up all the tyres, unless, if you look at the two Hondas, for example, THRW Honda Racing, they're deciding to go a slightly different tact, as you alluded to, older tyres on, maybe just trying to get a maximum amount of track time, get used to the circuit. The American team, they know that they're going to be starting within 4 spots of their category pole anyway. That's absolutely fine, and it's maybe it's like a clever use of the track time as well. The teams have had access to a lot of track time this week. That's again what the Michelin 24-hour series brings to the teams, but they're obviously wanting to get a little bit more under their belt.
Yeah, those through Honda Racing Civics aren't TCR cars. I thought they were, having had a sniff around, but they're actually custom built from their American southwestern facility. You may remember Synchro Motorsport back in the British sort of endurance days. They used to build Hondas out, and effectively this is a club. So all of the people in that team are employees of Honda, and they build on a day-by-day basis. They build road cars, and in their time off, they build the race car, and then they take it racing at the Thunderhill 25 hours and things like that. So as you can see, not quite a TCR spec car, but built for endurance racing, and over here for the first time. Definitely one to go and chat to in the midst of the race, but fascinating sort of club to be part of in your spare time of building cars. Build cars.
So is it the same club as the Hart Honda team? Because that was Honda employees as well.
Okay.
So this is one for our new pit lane reporter, Carla Velti, to go and uncover the story.
I sniffed around for 2 seconds, and about 5 people said hello to me, so it'll be very easy to get interviews.
They sound very friendly to me.
Yeah, very, very friendly down there. But a little bit off the pace, about 2 seconds off the pace of the older Cayman that sits at the tail of the TC field. We have our first session finished with the Vortex on as the fastest time and on pole for GTX, but there are only Vortexes in GTX. Mulder Motorsport fastest in 992. NM Racing got the pole in GT4, and TCE provisional pole for the JMEC Engineering BMW. There is our a display of that many people and that many drivers as part of our field, because some cars have 5 drivers in them, others will have 3 drivers, and just a couple of hundredths between the Vortex and the Mulder Motorsport at the top of the field, but then a big gap between Martin Rump and Gregory Servais, Fabien Dufaux and Fabien Dance, and the rest of the 992 category field, all the way down to 10th position, where you find the second of the Vortexes, and then it's 12th position for the best NM GT4 car, which is the NM Racing 488 machine, and about a second and a bit faster than Team Sorgren Sport. And then you have JMEC Aspes, Venture down in 16th, and then the 2 Hondas at the tail of the field.
Great to see them here, all the way from the US. A very brief pause, enough of time for the crews to switch over driver and then head out for the next 15 minutes of qualifying. Then they come back in again and hand over to the third and final driver. Again, we reiterate, the same set of Michelin tyres are used throughout the qualifying session. You don't have to start the race on them. You could start on brand new tyres, but for this qualifying session, it's one set and that is it. So you've got to make it count. And it's amazing how many teams who we've spoken to so far today mentioned just how high the tyre degradation is, actually. Certainly those were both rear-wheel drive cars. I wonder what it's like for a front-wheel drive car, like the Honda, for example.
Well, as we wait before the second of our qualifying sessions gets underway, let's go back down to the pits with John, who has found one of our fast drivers from the first session.
Well, actually, I heard what you were talking about, the Hondas, so I've hustled towards about the middle of the pit lane. I'd forgotten how long the pit lane is here. Those tyres look absolutely great. At the moment, they're checking right across in 3 different parts of the front tyres. So inner edge, middle and outer edge. Let's see if I can grab somebody from the team to ask the question. Just doing a re-pressure on the rear tyres there. All right. I need to talk to somebody from this team. Who's going to talk to me from this team? What's your name, sir?
It's Scott Nickel.
Hi, Scott. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very well. So these cars Are these basically the SI type cars that I've seen in the States before?
No, these are Type Rs.
Right.
They were built in, they're actually 5 doors, converted to Type Rs. So the chassis were built in Indiana, and then we outfitted them with all the Type R drivetrain and suspension from there.
So effectively a custom build is that's what we're saying?
Yes, they're fully custom built cars.
So I'm used to seeing HART from the plant coming and racing in IMSA. You guys aren't affiliated with them then?
We're affiliated because we're all from Honda, but this team is based out of Los Angeles, where they do all the styling. But the group of people that are here are from all over North America. So I'm from the Canadian side, from Honda of Canada manufacturer, where we make the Civic Si. But all the other team members, I think we have team members from Power Equipment, which is in Atlanta. We have people from, obviously, LA. We have people from design side in Ohio. And we have an HRC member here also, too.
So I often describe the HART guys as a bit of it's a factory outing, and they come out because they all work there, they all work in that. Is this a similar thing? So everybody that's on this team works for Honda?
Yes, this is very similar. The Hart guys typically work at Honda of America at the manufacturing plants. This team has come together from all different aspects of Honda.
What in the name of everything that is good makes you decide to pack the stuff up, come across to Europe and come and race in a 24-hour race at the Circuit de Catalunya?
Well, our leader, Lawrence, he's always had a passion to be a part of the Creventic series. The last time we were with Creventic was 2017, and we did Circuit of the Americas. And we planned on doing some other ones, but the plans didn't work out at that time based on some timing. So we were able to make it work this time. We're still having a lot of struggles. We're still learning the whole process from, and the Creventic team's been very, very helpful throughout the whole thing. We're just glad to be here. I know that you've been here. We've been working pretty much day and night to get these cars ready because we lost a day when the cars didn't make it. So, but we're working hard.
Well done for getting the cars on track. Race well.
Thank you very much.
Really excited to deep dive more during our coverage of the 24-hour race with that team. It's obviously a great effort, 2 cars here, big lineup of drivers, and taking a different approach to qualifying, but a fascinating, you're used to seeing a Honda Civic, as you said at the start, TCR car obviously, and clearly someone doing it a bit different.
Yeah, that's a wonderful story. So employees from all over a company. Honda's obviously a massive global company, but to have that same shared passion for motorsport shows you the kind of company it is. It's a company full of racers and full of engineers and people with passion. It's great to see them here. Just with 1 car would be a big effort, but to have 2, 4 drivers in each, wonderful. They're very, very warm welcome to them to the Michelin 24-hour series. So into the second segment of qualifying, it's Solène Amrouche who's taken out the Vortex V8 number 974 that sits in provisional pole at the moment in the GTX category, and the fastest of the cars we see in this qualifying session. When we get to the GT3s later, we will turn the wick up that little bit further, and likely we will see a new qualifying record for the Michelin 24 Hours of Barcelona in its 26th edition, because we've seen that all year. Last year, the best race lap that we saw was actually set on lap 3, a 141.193 set by Frederick Schandorf in a McLaren 720. I think we're going to absolutely obliterate that. Judging by the times we saw in testing and free practice, which have been much quicker than that, I think in qualifying we're going to see some red hot lap times later on.
Lap times coming in for this session, but they're still a bit of a way off at the previous session. And of course, tyres in the previous session would have come out of the ovens, gone onto the car, and they would have been able to push relatively fast. Difficult for an AM driver to get up to speed straight away, but for somebody like Martin Rump, who's a semi-pro, very easy to bang in that lap time straight away and come into the pits. Between then and now, some of those cars have been sitting in the pits for well over 10 minutes, not allowed to touch the tyres. Those temperatures have gone down, as John said, in the pits. And so now, even though these drivers are more experienced and faster than the previous drivers that have been in those cars in some cases, they are not finding the performance of the tyre yet. Hans says a 45.9. 1:09. That is over a second and a half slower than what that car managed in the previous session after just 2 laps. But we are getting now green sectors on the second lap as the temperature continues to rise in those tyres, which are pretty hard compound tyres, as we saw at the start of the year in Mugello. Remember, they were really struggling in Mugello to get the tyres up to temperature. And so we are going to see better lap times on these second laps.
The conditions are absolutely perfect, really. Sitting around 20 degrees Celsius in the air. Ideal conditions to go racing. Not excessively hot like we see in the middle part of the summer, but more than warm enough not to be like what we saw in Mugello in the beginning of March, where it's between wet and dry, and yeah, you're trying to make a hard tyre switch on, which is not easy. There's no choice of tyre compound here. You get one tyre choice, that's the Michelin H2. It's the same for everybody. So we're starting to see some more lap times now. Julian Hansen's a 1:45.577 for Mühlner Motorsport. They're putting their stake in the ground early for their challenge for this Barcelona 24 hours.
Rick Breukers' lap time in the first of his attempts was disallowed, and so his best lap time, actually the second lap, but big mistake in sector 3, so it was only a 48.1 for Rick, which puts him 5th fastest right now. Should be able to easily be on pace with Hanses and Jatry at the front of our field, even though they're in the 45s and not in the 44s that we saw from Martin Rump in the first session.
Also a lap time disallowed for the same indiscretion. The number 901 Ajit Kumar Racing Porsche 992 Cup of Cameron McLeod has had a lap disallowed because of a breaking of track limits. And Cameron returning to that team after driving with them in Dubai, and he's had a great year. He had a superb run with a win at the Le Mans Invitational with the Ford Mustangs, the support race at Le Mans, and announced himself quite well to the big wigs at Ford. He's been racing in America as well with Ford in the Michelin Pilot Challenge, so he's a young driver with real promise. Also running in the Super 2 Championship in Australia.
Still green sectors. Interesting to see that these tyres are taking a couple of laps to get back to their best. It isn't switching on quite as quickly as perhaps it would have done at Paul Ricard, which was the last time a lot of these drivers would have raced. Certainly the last time we had a Creventic race, and that was nearly 40 degrees. That was 50 degrees track temperature, whereas track temperature here must be more like 30. And Rick has now got the Red Camels Jordan 909 up to second position, so a much stronger lap, and the fastest in the session, I would imagine, a 45.3. But still, it's Mühlner Motorsport, the white and blue 992 Porsche, which is the fastest on average of qualifying 1 and qualifying 2, mainly thanks to Martin Rump's 44.6. We did see a 44.6 from Olivier Gomez, but Selene Amarouche, daughter of Lionel, who is in the other car actually, so they're not in the same car, and she is doing a 47.4 with her fastest lap, so that's dropped the Vortex down to 4th in overall. And I think they'll be probably watching the overall for Vortex, because it's only the 2 of them in GTX as a class, and they can be, as we're discovering, as fast as these 992s.
Yeah, I think now that they've got the reliability in the package, they'll be thinking about, all right, okay, where do we end up in the overall result? Yes, they've got 2 cars running against each other in the GTX category, but they're looking how far up the order can we finish after 24 hours? And that every position they finish overall is an advert for that car. They want to sell more of these cars and have more of them racing, and that is a great way to do it, not just to win the category, but to have a really strong overall result. Look, they're not going to get on the overall podium, but it's the distance away from the GT3s. If they can get closer and closer than they have been, that will be a good advert indeed. Julian Hansen's number 921, a 1:45.446 was his personal best, so their average now sitting at a 1:45 flat, which is 6/10 clear of Rick Breukers, who's just gone into fuel, so that's his qualifying run done, as has Mathieu Detry for Seb Lejeune Racing in 3rd.
Very interesting to see that qualifying 1 effort from Mühlner Motorsport is making the big difference right now. obviously a semi-pro, all semi-pro lineup in the motorsport car, so there is no AM driver that was required to be used in qualifying 1, and pretty much everybody else does have an AM driver, so that is a difference, but it is putting them on the pole position. And in terms of class, they are directly competing against Rick Breukers and the 909, although they have two AM drivers. So they have Fabian Dance and Ivo, and it was Fabian who is in the car for that first session. And interestingly also, it's taken so much longer to get the tyres up to temperature. We're not seeing loads of people diving into the pits after 5 minutes.
No, not as much. The point you made about the tyre blankets is really a good one. You know, you're taking the tyres out of a hot tyre oven and then putting them on the car and then going straight out. Whereas if you're coming into the car second or third, you've got a longer heat-up procedure. But Milner Motorsport, interestingly, they're a team that had a really tricky start to the season. They just had bad luck. Things went wrong. They ended up both of their cars getting into the same accident at Spa, I remember. But then they've set that right in the last race at Paul Ricard, where they won in the 992 category. So is this where they get the big overall win, the big win in class, excuse me, in a big 24-hour race? One
car we're missing from our 19-car entry into this particular part of qualifying is that older Porsche Cayman that we saw from Asbest Racing, the 111, not out on circuit. John Hindhoff has found it in the box. What's going on, John?
Of course, in typical Radio Show Limited, Radio Le Mans fashion, it's the last pit box down at the far end. This 981 Cayman sitting with no work going on at the moment. It looks to me as though they've had a brake problem, and because, you know, I grew up, my dad was a detective. That's brake fluid down there, and they've got the tops of the reservoir out, so some kind of brake problem here. Looks like they've been bleeding the brake back off. They're still working on the inside of the car as well, but that's actually on the passenger side, so it's frustrating for these guys in the 111 at the moment, but there's work going on. Now, if you miss a session, that's going to put you all the way at the back on your average, but they'll want to get this car back out again to do some laps to make sure that whatever they're working on, brake problems. There was a rather resigned nod there from one of the team members. It's not insurmountable, clearly. They are working with purpose on this car, but I'm not sure we're going to see it, certainly in this part of qualifying. Hopefully they'll get something done for the next.
How annoying, but it's not over until it's over, and we've got 24 hours of racing here in Barcelona, starting midday on Saturday. Don't forget to tune in, and of course, therefore, running through to midday on Sunday, as per logic. That is your entertainment. We'll be with you all the way through to 10 o'clock in the evening, and then we'll have the onboard streams throughout the night and join you as the sun rises at 7:30 on Sunday morning to take you to the flag on Sunday. Now, we are following Solène Amarouche, who has gone purple in the first sector. That means she's faster than everybody else in this session. Her previous lap was a 46.457. There's a decent amount of cars that have been faster than that around her, but she did go faster in the previous lap. It brought her up to third overall in this particular session, and average third. And we're just about to break the beam for the second sector, and unfortunately giving away 3.5 tenths of a second. But I think that would still be good enough, if she holds on to it, to be in second position ahead of Ajit Kumar, who has got himself that team, and Cameron McLeod up into second spot. So McLeod's 45.488, good enough for the front row.
This is fantastic from the Vortex V8 2.0 crew, where you're up there with young professional drivers, and it's not professional drivers in the Vortex cars. Ooh. And they're putting in some fantastic pace. Solène Amarouche, a 145.880 in there with the 992 Porsche, second overall in this qualifying session, 145.269, and they definitely have the Vortex bragging rights because they're nearly 4 seconds clear on average over the sister car, which is the full season car 701.
I didn't realise that actually Liam Amrouche is on the entry for both cars. So Selene is in this car. Maybe he'll choose to take this one now. It's the faster of the two. Or both.
I think Selene will say, Dad, no.
Stay away.
No, my car.
I have to say that is a very, very impressive effort, because she is a second and a half off what Olivier Gomez managed to do, but
who designed the car?
So is Julian Hanses on Martin Rump. And so, yes, Olivier literally knows every nut and bolt in it. So Selene's performance this year definitely getting better and better as each race goes by. And they are on the front row as the checker flag comes out for this second session.
The JMEC engineering car giving proper M3 GTR vibes from the early 2000s American Le Mans series and the Nürburgring 24 Hours. It's beautifully prepared by JMEC Engineering, and they lead in TCE at the moment by a fairly healthy margin, actually, 1.5 seconds from the Asbest Cupra. Then it's the two Hondas, 124 from 123, with the Asbest Porsche, which we commented on, unfortunately, in the garage at this moment in time. But JMEC just put in a 155.161. So actually very, very tight in terms of pace between the two drivers in that JMEC BMW. Stephen Cheatham is at the wheel at the moment and has put in that 155.1.
Owen Hizzy was aboard the Venture Mercedes in GT4, who was the fastest of the three drivers in GT4 in that session, but stays third on average for the moment by 2.3 seconds. So big work to do from the pro in qualifying 3 in the Venture Mercedes to get them up through that GT4 field. But as we've kind of mentioned already, qualifying doesn't really matter that much. Ajit Kumar still in his fire suit and overalls. There is, of course, night practice coming up after this qualifying session, so not time to get changed yet, but the he's not a Bollywood actor, is he? He's a something-wood actor. Collywood, thank you.
Yes, for Tamil language. It's been remarkable, Ajit, coming into the championship this year, the increase in interest. Tamil TV have been showing the races as well, so if you are tuned in on Tamil TV, a big warm welcome from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. We're delighted to have Ajit here, and we're going to catch up with one of his drivers, Cameron McLeod.
He's just got out of the car, gents. Cam, can I nick you for a second? Now, Cameron and I have talked on Midweek Motorsport, but not in person. Hello, Cam. You've been busy the last few weeks. Le Mans earlier in this year for Ford, and then most recently at Indianapolis. Jumped on a plane straight after that. How are you finding Barcelona?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good track. I think it's one to nail on one lap pace. There's so many. I think maybe it's just a Porsche, but there's so many little things that you just need to get correct, and then if you don't, it's a massive big time loss. So yeah, I think the quality session was, okay. I think the car itself was pretty good, but yeah, I just made this one little mistake, and you run wide and you lose 2 tenths. So I'm a bit of a pelican, but oh well, I'm sure Hoop will hop in and he'll drag the team to the pole. When do you actually get back to your day job, which is running in Super 2, Dunlop Super 2 in Australia? About a week after I get back. It's a Bathurst 1000. So I'll be driving in obviously the 1000 itself, and then the Super 2 car there as well as a support category. So double duties and lots of track time, and I'm keen for it. You were on the front row for the last Enduro at the Bend. Had a nice little battle in the opening laps with an absolute legend, Jamie Winkup, JW. Enjoy that? Yeah, that was good. I had a little bit of a poke at turn 1. But yeah, no, that was great. I think that the weekend in itself was quite good, and the team did an awesome job, and Cam Hill did a good job to put it on pole front row as well. So no, that was a great weekend, and hopefully we can replicate something like it at Bathurst. And then you and Robert Noack together in a Mustang, you were racing each other at the Le Mans Invitational, and just, literally one lap away from winning that, and he just got passed by a couple of cars literally on the last 2.5 miles. Yeah, I thought we were on for the win there. You were? Yeah, we were, and then, starting 8th, I'm like, I'm back in the boonies. We're kind of nowhere here, but the whole team had full hope, and they told me this category does some pretty crazy things, so No, I went out and did a pretty good job in the first stint, and I think I brought the car back home in third, and the team did a good job with the strategy as well. And yeah, definitely the Ford Mustang GT4 was quite good, and when Robert got in, he just kind of had to finish it off, and he climbed from third to first, and then, yeah, I think he might have chewed the tyres up a little bit and then fell back to the McLarens the last few laps.
One lap is all it was. If I'd said to you on Wednesday on Midweek Motorsport, you'll be on the podium in your first time out in GT4 in IMSA, would you have taken that? Because you were quite bullish about where you want. You said we can go and win this.
Yeah, I mean, I had full confidence that we can win it. You know, Rob and I are a good pairing. You know, I think we were super good, but. Yeah, I mean, to come up third, it's still, you know, super cool to be on the podium in Indianapolis. And then, yeah, to do it for the whole Ford Motorsport crew is super cool.
Well, the Bathurst 1000 is pretty much straight after we finish Petit Le Mans, so I'll be watching her in that. Go well here and enjoy.
Awesome, thank you.
Cameron McLeod there, guys.
Great chat with Cam as we open pit lane for our third and final qualifying session of these particular cars. Don't forget, we still have the GT3 field to come, where we will do what we've just done all over again and set the top 13 of our 24-hour Barcelona for tomorrow. All cars back out on circuit. Luke Breukers in the red Camels. Jordan 992 sitting in fourth position. We've got Hub van Eindhoven in the Ajit Kumar Porsche. Valters Zvidris in the Mulder Motorsport Porsche that is at the moment our pole position car. And Arnaud Samir in the Vortex GTX, which sits second position and right in the mix of the 992s after a really good lap from Selene Amarouche. And a really good opportunity to go and have a chat, a positive chat to Vortex. So often with our pit reports, we go down and say, what's wrong with your Vortex? But this is a great story, which is very, very different to normal, to have them right at the sharp end of this qualifying session.
It's a new era for that team. The new car is, call it new car, it's been going for 2 years now. And yeah, they really optimized that package, and wishing them a lot of luck over the 24 hours, because boy, do you need it. No matter what car you're in, what your driver lineup is, you need it over 24 hours of racing on any circuit. And a lot of the drivers are commenting on how high degradation this circuit is on those tires. They experienced it, they're used to it, they expect it here, but a few of them still chasing setups. Spoke to a couple of teams around lunchtime today. They've had a lot of track time and they're still trying to find that setup. Red Camel Jordans, even a team that know their Porsche 992 inside and out. They know this circuit inside and out, and yet they're still chasing a little bit.
Yeah, it's not like they're coming here with a new surface like we had at Spa, or, you know, changes or an unknown. This is a place they know well. This is a car that they took a delivery of 3 years ago now, I think, or maybe more.
I think they've had a couple of different cars in that time, I think, but yes, it's exactly the same spec of car, same setup sheet, etc. So they know it well, and they know themselves well too. You know, it's the same driver lineup they've had for several years now. Luke Breukers at the wheel right now. His brother Rick, of course, a double winner at the Rolex 24 at Daytona, a winner at the 12 Hours of Sebring in the GTD category. Their dad, Ivo Breukers, who has forgotten more about endurance racing than we'll ever remember. He's been doing endurance racing for well over 20 years. And Fabian Dans, who really holds his own amongst his peers. Actually, he's one of the strongest AM drivers in the championship, and that is a very valuable commodity in this championship.
Yeah, an adopted Breukers, isn't he?
He basically is, yeah.
Just sort of an awkward uncle hanging around all the time. Three Breukers and a dance.
No, he's their suave Swiss uncle.
Suave Swiss uncle. Okay, that's much better. Well done. Luke over the line to set a 46.271. So we're still a way off the 45s that I imagine these guys can do. And actually, Hub van Eindhoven in the Ajit Kumar Racing coming straight out the box with a 45.6. That car's done 14 laps on its tyres and potentially now has traffic, or was it a slipstream?
got a perfect toe from Paul Meyer in the Seblaju car, who has a massive slide coming through the switchback through turn 2 and 3, where you go left and then right, and the rear of the car is starting to step around. That may have lost a bit of time, and indeed may have just scrubbed the lap as Huub van Uithoven in that Ajit Kumar car is on the flashers, on the headlights to say, get out the way. And he's probably thinking, well, you've done all right out of me, pal. You got a split stream off me down the back straight.
And I saw the two of them chatting to each other in the paddock just a little bit earlier on. So
was this planned?
I was about to say, was it planned? But I don't think it is now. Maybe if it was before, it certainly isn't now, because that purple and white Seblaju 888 machine now possibly in the way, although there is still a purple sector coming the way of Huub van Uithoven in sector 1. It's going to hurt more through the second part of the lap, I imagine. And we've actually got James Kellett out there in the HRT Performance 992, down in 15th at the moment, but with the purple middle sector.
So very important to try and drag the performance out here. Then the number 928 HRT goes up to 4th, just like that, with a great lap. 145.134 on 13 lap old tyres. That's impressive. And we've still got 9 minutes and 40 seconds of the session to go, and you might as well crack on now. The tyres are probably going back in the truck after this, so just keep going and hope that you can grab some lap time.
888 had its lap deleted, in fact. It's Paul Meyer. Hang on a second. Yes, Paul Meyer in the Seblaju 888. And yeah, now really getting in the way of Huub van Uithoven. And Paul Meyer was an absolute star a few weeks ago at the 992 Endurance Cup race at Spa-Francorchamps, where he won the opportunity for a sim session with Porsche, one of 10 drivers to do so in that particular race.
He's an experienced competitor. One race is in the Super League formula. Remember that? Yeah. So, and also like me, he likes to run his haircut in low downforce configuration.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Was tutored at that time by Tom Coronel, and the two of them were teammates in the 992 Endurance Cup at Spa a few weekends ago. But of course, that's the home track, whereas this is not. And he's joined Seblaju Racing, and at the moment has now got a lap time on the board, so he's up to 3rd position, but we do have 488 having a lap time taken away. That's the leading GT4 car of NM Racing. A few track limit infringements out there on circuit.
This looks to be a very strong lap from James Kellett coming out the final corner now, rumbling over the curbs, going through the gear, up into 5th gear, flat out to the line. It's a 144.884 from James Kellett for HRT Performance. They stay in 4th, but when you bear in mind the tyre wear, is that the best time we've seen from anybody? No, not quite. In qualifying 1, we had a 144.6 from the Vortex, but on a 144.698 from Martin Rump. But he's only 0.2 off Rump's time from Q1 on much, much newer tyres. Brilliant stuff, James Kellett. Yeah,
35 kilometres more on those tyres than what was managed in the early part in the first session. And has he got any more? Because there's still green sectors all over the timing screen. It was a fast sector 1, although it wasn't his fastest.
So are the tyres now actually approaching their peak? Are they now, temperature-wise, they're now not the absolute best, of course, is when they're brand new, but in terms of the heat cycle, are they now approaching that best point where they're right up to the perfect temperature, and they haven't quite worn too much yet, so there's still performance left in them? We're going to find out when James Kellett comes round to the end of the lap. He's just heading down towards the final sector now, down towards turn 10. Great overtaking opportunity there.
Oh, nice bit of clear track for Luke Breukers in the Red Camels Jordan 909, which sits 2nd position now because they've bumped the Vortex down to 6th position. And there is no traffic for Luke, who is coming through the final couple of corners of the lap in the 3rd sector. and coming down to potentially improve his time. A 46.2 was his fastest time. Sorry, a 45.8 was his fastest time in qualifying 3. His last lap was a 46.2. And I think this could be better. Through the final turn, it's almost flat out, just scrabbling around with a little bit of grip, and a 45.338 for Luke Breukers. Let's go down to the pits, and Carlo Velti has the mic.
I am here with Soline, who did a fantastic qualifying round. Soline, ça a été vraiment incroyable. Comment ça a été pour toi dans la voiture?
C'était sensationnel, impressionnant, et j'étais juste complètement en adéquation avec la voiture. J'ai juste fait ce que je connais, et en fait le chrono a suivi derrière. Voilà.
Et c'était tous les jours maintenant ce week-end déjà comme ça pour toi, ou c'était vraiment le moment là maintenant?
Alors depuis le début, franchement c'est pas mal. On a fait quand même beaucoup de setup sur la voiture. On a énormément travaillé ça et on a fait en sorte, j'avoue, que la voiture me correspond quand même pas mal, correspond aussi à mes coéquipiers, qu'on a une bonne voiture. Et là, j'avoue que c'est quand même mon meilleur chrono. Donc je suis contente de mon meilleur chrono de tout compris.
Très bien, je pense que le team est content aussi. Est-ce que tu vois avec tes teammates que ça roule aussi bien, ou est-ce qu'il y a des différences là?
Alors sincèrement là je trouve qu'on est plutôt pas mal, on est sur une équipe qui est plutôt assez équivalente, on a tous des chronos assez équivalents, donc sur la course ça va être bien. On a quand même un pilote qui découvre la voiture, qui découvre le monde du circuit, donc je trouve qu'il se débrouille très très bien, il fait des très bons chronos, donc non franchement on a de quoi aller jouer devant.
D'accord. As a quick translation, she did say she felt incredible today with the car. She felt really as one with the car, and it has basically been the whole weekend already. So it's really nice that everything came together, and it looks like the rest of the team feels quite comfortable as well. So it looks like maybe we will have a very interesting weekend for this team. Merci beaucoup.
A secret armory down in pit lane this weekend with a couple of different languages we can do our interviews in. For those of you that are watching in France, voila, you have some French interviews, perhaps some German later on, and even maybe an Italian one, and then a northern from John Hindhoff.
And in here you'll get nonsense.
Yes, of course. 3.5 minutes remaining of the qualifying session. It is Ajit Kumar Racing for the 992 category on the pole position right now. And he has only a 10.5 over Red Camel's Jordan. Luke Breukers did improve and is improving again on this next lap, getting ever closer to that pole. Seb Lejeune Racing and Paul Meyer in the 888 machine in 3rd position is only 0.07 of a second behind Breukers, though. It's very, very tight at the top. And the car that was on pole in Q1 and Q2, Mulder Motorsport, is in 4th position, and they are around a 10.5 behind the Seb Lejeune. So 4 cars very close to each other. Actually, sorry, we should continue, because 0.02 of a second separate Mulder Motorsport and HRT, and then you get to the Vortex in 6th spot.
Good news is from the pits that Asbef Racing have got their Porsche moving, so Seth Brown has taken it out, so they will get a qualifying time in, so they'll be able to continue this qualifying session. That's wonderful news. Red Camel Jordan's Luke Breukers coming around to the final corner, chopping back and forth on the wheel. You're carrying a lot of speed through there in a Porsche 992 Cup, around 140 kilometers an hour at the apex, and then building the speed out of there and much quicker than that onto the exit curbs, and then all the way to the end of the straight as quick as that, and you're hitting the brakes from 245 kilometers an hour. Very, very quick.
Unfortunately, though, had traffic in the shape of that Asbes older Cayman, and therefore was not an improvement for Luke Breukers on that lap. He was faster through Sector 1, and once again, he is faster through Sector 1 on this attempt, but his tyres have done 16 laps. Has he got anything left with basically 2 minutes left of this session? It's going to be a tall order. Keen to see if the Vortex can improve on its lap time. A 48.7 from Arnaud, down in 6th position. And in fact, he has just done a slight improvement with a 48.2, but he stays in that 6th spot.
Luke Breukers still pushing on at the moment. He's personal best in Sector 1, excuse me, just coming around into Sector 2 at the moment, towards the end of that sector point. We'll see where he is, and unfortunately it's gone away a little bit in that middle sector as he approaches turn 10 and 11. Looks very, very busy behind the wheel, so perhaps is this the setup troubles that they alluded to earlier, that the car's, whoa, as he gets it all wrong on the exit of turn 13, two wheels on the gravel, the rear swaps around but just keeps it going. Well, Luke Breukers is certainly trying here. There's 52 seconds left on the clock. He can get one more hot lap here, but that car looks nasty at the moment.
I mean, he's not needing to save these tyres for anyone else in any other sessions. This is qualifying 3, and therefore, as you said, they'll be put at the back of the garage for a test day. But he was very, very loose through those final couple of turns. He's put gravel on the tyres, and I was thinking, well, just bring it to the pits. It doesn't matter. But yeah, four-wheel drift through the penultimate turn. The left tyres into the gravel trap, and was lucky actually to keep it facing the right direction. Sorry, it wasn't the penultimate turn. It was the turn before, which is very much an acceleration zone there. So just scrabbling for grip. Of course, the 992 cars without the traction control systems that the GT3 machinery have. It's a far more raw experience behind the wheel. And again, he's got pace in that first sector, but it does seem to unravel in sector 2 and 3. And I think he now may have backed off. The checkered flag is out for the remaining cars, and we haven't seen any improvements. And I think it will be day done then. And Breukers definitely looks like he's cruising home.
The one thing, when Luke gets back to the garage, they'll certainly believe him when he says, I was trying. Huge understeer. Even at low speed, not full speed, he's getting massive washout. Red Camel have got some head scratching to do, but for Ajit Kumar Racing, it's going to be pole position, in, not just in their AM class, but in all of the 992s, quicker than Milner. Milner only 4th. That I did not expect.
Ajit Kumar, Ralph Popelars, Huub van Eindhoven, Cameron McLeod, and Gregory Service. A kind of brand new lineup, really, for Ajit Kumar Racing by Redon, with some of their other drivers in a different car for this weekend. But certainly big celebrations. That's going to hit the news overnight, and that will encourage even more fans to follow that man tomorrow. Let's go and hear from him now.
Ajit, come on, man. That's a pole position for the car overall in its class, not just in the culmination of a dream. And this seems like it's moving very quickly for you.
Yeah, definitely, like you said, it is a culmination of my dreams. But thanks to all the team, all the members in the team, and yeah, just keeping my fingers crossed that we have a good weekend.
You look really nervous there. Would you rather have actually been in the car rather than watching? Because Rick was getting close to you in the Red Camel.
It is. I mean, I need this weekend to go well for us. It'll matter a lot for us back home in India. It'll do a world of a difference to us, you know, for motorsports back in India. So looking forward to a very good weekend.
And that's actually really important to you because, yes, you're having fun, you're enjoying, you've rekindled your driving career because you've been off doing some other things, let's say, but to have that flag out on the front straight, that means the world to you.
Definitely. I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Now, tell me about this circuit. You've had some test days here.
Some wonderful testing happened, and so I'm a lot more confident now back in the car in this circuit. Looking forward to the next season as well. So I hope I'm back here next year again. So thanks to all of them, all my fans and people back home watching and supporting us. And like I said, I hope it's a good weekend.
You've been a wonderful addition this year. We hope you're back as well. Race well. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Ajit Kumar and down at the Red Ant team as well. That was intense. You could see, you could feel the pressure that was going on there. And Rick Breukers, you're absolutely right, gentlemen. He gave it his all. Excuse me, it was Luke Breukers, wasn't it, who was behind the wheel. He was giving it his all. So a well-won, hard-earned pole position for this team.
And the gaps were minuscule across our top 5 992 category cars. Quite remarkable to see after 3 qualifying sessions, 3 different drivers, in that Ajit Kumar racing machine, they all managed to basically lap around a 1/10 of a second equal to each other, which gave them a 1:45.444 as their average, ending up a 1/10 and a half ahead of the Red Camels Jordan full fat 992, because they are not in the AM category class. The second of the AMs is the Sebastian Lejeune Racing 888 machine, and that was only 7/100ths of a second behind after 3 drivers and the average. And then less than a 1/10 behind them, the 4th position machine of Martin Rumps, Vrides, Hanses and Meyer. Remember, that car has only Pro-Am drivers in it, semi-pros, sorry. So in 14th, 4th for Mulder Motorsport. The best of the GTX is that Vortex, as we heard from Solène Amarouche, in 6th position. In the end, Samir a little bit off the pace of Solène and Olivier Gomez. And then you go down to 488, which is the GT4 pole position of NM Racing. And amazingly, considering its age, no offense to those that are a little older, J Mech Engineering with the pole position in their BMW E46 in the TCE category. Talking of those, no. We are going to have a little swap seat in the box, and we are going to introduce ourselves in just a few moments' time to Peter Snowden, who will join us for the GT3 category. But before we do, let's take a quick look at the highlights of that session for the TCE, GT4, GTX, and 992 category cars. Starting a little bit later than scheduled because of a crash for the TCR Europe category. We saw very good pace from Olivier Gomez in the Vortex in the first session of qualifying. Solène Amarouche in the second session of qualifying. Mulder Motorsport held on to pole position all the way through until qualifying 3, where Huub van Eindhoven was able to get a good average for the Ajit Kumar car and steal pole position in 992. Snowy, how lovely to have you with us.
You're very convincing. Thank you, Ben. Very kind. What a session, hey? Unbelievable.
So tight.
I was standing at the back of the car listening to you two, who were very animated, the pair of you.
Getting so excited, weren't you?
Wasn't it? I said, don't peak early, it's a 24-hour race.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, what a session, and no disrespect, but that wasn't even like the top category, if you like, the fastest cars at the very front of the grid. So it bodes extremely well for the next qualifying session with the GT3 cars, and of course for the race tomorrow into Sunday.
Just before we get that GT3 session underway, I believe John Hindup is back down in the pits with another of our pole sitters.
Yes, I am. We'll do this one in audio only. NM Racing are the GT4s. Who's going to talk? You're going to talk to me. How was that?
It was quite good. I did the Q1, and it was a bit tough at the start with the TCRs around. They were blocking my way a little bit, and I struggled to put the first few laps in. I got them cancelled due to a pit limit,
track limits.
Yeah, track limits on the exit of turn 14. But at the end on lap 8, I managed to put a lap together, and it was pretty good.
Who else was in the car?
Oxley and Lau.
Right.
Yeah. Do you want me to bring them over?
Yes, please. That was young Mr. Belloc. Thank you very much indeed. Who else is going to talk? Who else drove? You drove, didn't you?
Yes, I did. Hello.
How was that for you?
Oh, pretty good. That was all right, yeah.
Managed to find some space on the track?
Yeah. I mean, the first two lap was a little bit difficult to find space, but then after that we cleared away and I got 2 clean laps in and it was nice.
What's the key to a fast lap around here?
Well, putting everything together, that's one big bit. Putting everything together and, well, keeping it nice and tidy through the high-speed corners, which are very heavy on the tires here. So you make sure you do it in the first 2 laps. Otherwise, you just got no tires left. So that's pretty much the key around here.
Enjoy that then, did you?
Yeah. Good fun. It's my first 24 hours as well. So it's quite an experience to be in, and we've got the night practice now, so that's going to be nice and fun.
Right, and don't forget, I know you'll be excited, but you do have to get some sleep at some stage.
Yeah, well, I've got the beanbag out now. So.
Final driver, who you were out there, weren't you? Here we go. Which were you, second or third?
Oh, the second.
Second, okay. And you got some. You obviously got some decent run there. Must be really hard going second because you've got to get a time, but you've got to leave some tyres for your teammate.
Yeah, it was quite difficult because the team said to me to reserve all the tire to run them. So yeah, the track was a little bit slow. So yesterday we find some setup to do that lap. So yeah, we was really happy about that.
So that was your engineer doing engineer things, saying drive as fast as you can, but save the tire.
Yeah, for sure. yeah, but yeah, really happy for the lap and for the team. And yeah, we hope that the result is show tomorrow. So let's see.
And you're happy with the dry? There might be a splash of rain on Sunday morning, I'm hearing. Does it matter to you?
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It seems to be really... It's quite difficult to see, but I hear him to me, and it's difficult to respond.
That's all right. There's a little bit of a delay. Yeah. Congratulations. Tonight, at least, you get to say we were on pole position. Well done for you and the whole team.
Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Race well. Now, you can probably hear that we've got GT3 engines behind us, and there is the green light at the end of pit lane. GT3, session number 1 to set overall pole position for the Michelin 24 Hours of the Circuit of Catalonia is underway.
So that was Manel Lau Cornejo, who was the third person that John spoke to. Brandon Lee Oxley, the second person, and Keith Gatehouse was the first of our interviewees for NM Racing, the 3 drivers in that local car that is based, as I said a little bit earlier on, just around the corner from this Barcelona circuit. 13 GT3 cars out on circuit, separated into 3 categories: the full Pro category, the AM category, and then the mix of Pro AMs, and a decent spread. We've got 3 of our Pro entries. And actually I haven't calculated the amount of different cars we've got out there, but it's good to see we've got an Aston Martin out there, as we had all season for E2P Racing.
Yeah, good to see a couple of cars straight out on track. We've got the Viper Niza Racing Mercedes GT3 straight out. That's got a mixture of drivers. That's got 5 drivers in the lineup, so obviously only 3 can do that. 2 will get dropped for this. The Juta Racing Audi, that's an all-AM lineup with the British guy to Lars Vision and Gavin Pickering in that. So we look, see who comes up on that in first at the moment. So we've got Arunas Kazauklis in that at the moment. First car out, so he's obviously... I say it's an all-AM lineup.
Yeah, so you have to run your AM in this first session, but if you've got loads of AMs...
They've got 5 to choose from.
Yeah, exactly.
So they can run any order they like. And then the third car out on track is one of the cars I do want to watch there, the Ferrari 296G of Into Africa Racing by Dragon. Now that will have later in it, that's got 4 drivers, obviously only 3 can run in this session, 2 semi-pros, an AM and an AM Plus. And one of the semi-pros is Axel Jeffries. Mega guy, who I have to say, I'm not doubting the organisers, but how is he a semi-pro? You know, very famous in Lamborghinis, NLS racing, all that kind of stuff, GT racer, South African guy, and going to be absolutely quick in that car, absolutely blindingly quick.
Remarkably, I commentated on Axel in a karting race at Lake Garda racetrack. Must have been a good 15 years ago. He was an up-and-coming, and at that point he was definitely as fast as the likes of Charles Leclerc and people like that who were on circuit at the same time. But the chat even then was, yes, but he's from South Africa and it's going to be so very hard to make it through. And he raced over in the Asian Formula BMW Series, and it's great that he's found his place in Inter Africa Racing, thanks to Zoli Litlaka, who is in the car right now. And he is the AM. There is an AM Plus in that car for this weekend, but Joly is the AM and sort of team owner, let's say. And it's also great to have Dragon Racing represented here in Creventic. They joined the series halfway through the year. I don't know if was Mazzano the first time or was it Paul Ricard? Paul Ricard was the first time I saw them. Melvin Moe, who we've seen in the Viper Nisa racing Mercedes all year long. That team, the car stays in Europe, but the team, all of the mechanics, all of the drivers fly in from Malaysia to partake. If you remember, in Paul Ricard, they won the Spirit of Race Award for effectively crashing their car in the practice session. And having to have a separate car for the race. And then I think getting an overall podium. It's nice and loud down in pit lane. I think Carla Velti's got the microphone back. Carla, what's going on?
Yeah, I figured I'm just going to crash your comment right now because I'm here next to the Proton Huber car, and I think that's something that is not quite obvious when you watch the qualifyings from the outside, how different the strategies are, because there are some cars that went straight out, but for example, Proton Huber, they did wait, they are still waiting, the tires are not even on yet, which means it goes to show, and the tires are actually coming around right as I'm speaking, it goes to show how different they handle the tires here. You need to be very careful not to blow your tire very early on, not to use it up completely. And therefore, we see them putting it on now to go out. And I am guessing put in a very quick lap as quickly as possible and come back for the second qualifying session.
That adds quite a bit of pressure to an Audi driver. Konstantin Dressler will be the driver that has to take that car out. And I think they are now the last car, but we have only just got, for instance, Get Speed out on circuit. We haven't had that many laps yet set, but we didn't see that strategy in the 992 category. They went out, did a couple of laps, came back in. So saving the drivers to the end of the session, I suppose you get a better track, but seems like a bit of a risk.
I was going to say that there's a bit of jeopardy there, isn't there? It's temperature change, tyres change, track's kind of cool. Don't forget you've got a fuel load at the beginning of this, so you've got 45 minutes of fuel at the start, so you're always going to favour the latter driver. But so it's yin and yang, isn't it? Because you've got less fuel in the car at the end, but a worse tyre.
Yeah.
So, and a better driver, in theory. That's supposed to be how it works, the algorithm, if you like. But 13 cars on track. I counted 14 on the entry list. So
oh, yes.
Yes, I think we've got one not out.
Yeah, so that was the one that Carla was just talking about.
Yeah.
And it's now, I think, rolling down pit lane. Yes, so it is now out on circuit. So we have a full complement of 14 cars. I counted 13 earlier, so my bad, getting everything wrong. Axel Jeffries is Zimbabwean, not South African. Apologies.
Well, it's my fault. I said it first, so...
Oh, was it?
I'll tell you. You disagreed with me, which is very rare, but you did agree with me, which is...
I've just apologised for you as well.
Exactly. Hey, it's going to work. I like it.
Aston Martin at the moment, the fastest car out on circuit, and Oliver Campos, he's always good in that car. It was he that blew up the engine at the first round of the championship this year in Mugello, rolling backwards in gear, and they spent 12 hours trying to work out why the engine was bust, and it was basically that. But they seem to have got on top of what is a tricky car to drive. The Aston Martin was described to me by Javier Morcillo, who will be participating in that car this weekend, as a car that is a bit like a Formula 3 car but dressed as a GT car. And the GT3 cars, from Audi through to Aston Martin, from a car that was built, 6-7 years ago to a car that was only built last year, have developed so hugely that they have such different characteristics. And whereas a Mercedes or an Audi is a comfortable car for a gentleman driver to get into, the Aston Martin is a tricky one.
I was just going to say, very tight at the top. We've got halfway through this first 15-minute session. It was E2P Racing, Oliver Campos in the Aston Martin Vantage on a 142.089. Second was Hoffer Racing Alexander Prince, 142.1, so only a tenth. However, as I was describing that, Red Ant Racing, Yannick Redant, 142.090, a thousandths off provisional pole at this point, obviously.
Campos improves to a 141.771. Halfway through this session, we still don't have times from Santaloc, although they just get themselves a time now. Get Speed were another latecomer, and the last car out on circuit, Konstantin Dressler, Proton Uber competition, as Carla pointed out, only just out on their first lap. They've just come across the line, so they're in Sector 1. Fastest Sector 1 on our timing screens at the moment. Scuderia Praha with Denis Vasak aboard that machine. He is in 12th position right now, having only really set a banker, but a purple first sector and a green middle sector. Scuderia Praha will obviously have Joseph Kral in that car for the third session. A reminder, we've got to make an average of 3 drivers across 3 separate sessions across the next 30-odd minutes.
Denis Vasak just takes that Ferrari straight to the top, the Scuderia Praha Racing Ferrari, right to the top of the 1:41.573.
We are having track limit infringements, though. We've got a disallowed time for Jordan Boisson, Mr. Drink, in the TFT Racing Mercedes. He lost a lap time, as has the Get Speed Mercedes of Adam Osieka. That Get Speed car is still registering as 4th, although, yeah, okay, now it gets cleared, right. They were a bit delayed with clearing the time off the screen, so he drops down to 14th position now. As Vasek with a bit of traffic in his silver and yellow Ferrari. But timing screens already. Oh, Zolli is already in the pits.
I was just spotted that. He's just saying to enter the fueling area, but that's quite early with 9 minutes a lap, so 5 minutes left, literally. So he's entered into the pits already. So that's it. Now the danger of that, of course, is that you're gonna park it up, and don't forget you can't touch fuel or tyres. It's just driver change, is it not? You can put blankets around the tyre, provided they're not plugged in. I.e., you can retain residual heat. You just can't have it plugged in and add heat.
And maybe that is the strategy of Proton Huber competition, to limit the amount of time the car sits still. Don't come out at the start of the session and then sit in the pits for ages. Come out at the latter part of the session so the car doesn't lose as much heat in pit lane before the next session. That makes sense. Get Speed Mercedes with the purple middle sector, so Adam Osieka once again looking fast, hopefully keeps the car within the white lines this time. Vasak heads to pit lane, so our provisional fastest with 4 minutes and 15 seconds remaining, deciding to save tyres. He's only banged in 2 fast laps in that car.
It's the right thing to do though, Ben. Why not? Why not come in now? What's the point?
Well, yes. Save tyre.
Exactly. I think it's absolutely good, great strategy.
And of course they know what they're capable of. They've got the time on the dash. They know what they've been doing the last couple of days. They know if it's a good lap or a bad lap. So if they're not chasing any more time, why not come in, save those tyres for another session, for another driver in qualifying 2 and qualifying 3. We've already got 5 drivers in pit lane, including Dwight Merriman for ERA, but he set a 45.7, so a lot of work for the rest of that crew to haul that Ferrari up on this qualifying, as the Red Ant number 93 of Yannick Redant goes through the gravel at, what is that, turn 5, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of a self-imposed penalty there for track limits, wasn't it? Didn't take it over the line, took it way off into the gravel.
See what's happened here, Peter. You're the driver.
Yeah, just lost the back end coming out of there didn't even get to turn 5 properly, did it? So coming out of turn 4, coming round to the right, just swept over to the right-hand side, but just got a bit early and just got the right rear over onto the edge, and that just the back to him. Good catch, actually. Lovely historic driver. Would have been great at Goodwood a couple of weekends ago in historics on crossflies, but maybe not in a slick shot GT3 Mercedes in qualifying for a 24-hour race at Barcelona.
And now he needs to clear those tyres up, doesn't he? Because he doesn't want to then bring the car into the pits, park it up, and then give somebody else the dirty tyre.
And what else it's brought onto the track at there, and going to turn 5 now for everybody else. Somebody else goes and runs wide there and picks up detritus.
On board with Alexander Prince, who for Hoffa Racing is 3rd fastest right now. Just 0.2 of a second separating himself and the pole position. There's a purple first sector for him, but Stefan Tribonini has the fastest middle sector. Purple sector in sector 2, so he's ahead on the racetrack. And we could still, he's only a 10th slower, or even half a 10th slower than Denis Vasak. So we could see a change for provisional pole position here with under 2 minutes remaining. Watch out for the Santaloc Audi. Comes across the line, does improve his lap time, but does not improve his position. gosh, it must have been a minute improvement because it looks about exactly the same time. Waiting now for Hoffa Racing to come across the line, and Alexander Prince has done it. On his 7th lap on the tyre, though, he's asked a lot of those tyres, but he's now 2.5 tenths clear from Dennis Vasek at the head of qualifying number 1. And with only 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining, I'm not sure we're going to see many improvements now. Where's the Proton Huber car? 4 laps, 7th position for Konstantin Dressler. No improvements. Let's go down to Carla. What have you got for us?
Have the Into Africa driver with me who said I should call him XO. Tell me, why did you get back into the pit lane so soon?
Pardon?
Why did you get back into the pit lane so soon?
Oh, basically that was our strategy for this qualifying session. The rules are you have 1 set of tires, you can refuel, and there's 3 of you, and there is just no point in trying to go around and improve and kill the tire. I mean, tire degradation in the circuit is quite bad, or quite high, if I were to put it that way. So when we thought, I mean, that was the best lap time I could achieve, it was only fair to bring the car back so that the other 2 silver drivers have a chance of getting a good run with a better tire.
And how did it feel for you in the car?
No, it felt great. It felt great, and the car is good. And yes, I mean, I'm honored to be here. You know, as an M driver, I'm feeling happy to be in this circuit. The car feels great, and the track is very technical, but it's okay. We love it here. We're happy to be here.
Fantastic. Good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Well, thanks so much. We hope we can do better. I hope we can start up a little bit high up in the grid and take it from there. It's a 24-hour run, so we will hope for the best. We would like to make Africa proud. It's a full African lineup. I think it's the first ever African lineup to ever come in this stage. So we're already winners because of that. We've broken barriers. So we're the first all-Africa team, you know. So I'm very proud that we've achieved this. It's a big milestone for Africa. Thank you so much.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
And obviously flying the flag for motorsport in Africa. We've got the Kyalami 9-hour race, which Zolili promotes, in fact, has taken responsibility for that, and a very prominent figure in South African motorsport. And obviously, you know, when he comes and participates in here, he'll also be taking a lot of lessons and ideas for the Kyalami 9 hours as it moves away from organisation from Europe and back into organisation from Africa. That's the first session done then, and Alexander Prince for Hoffa Racing, the fastest by 2.5 tenths over Dennis Vasek for Scuderia Praha in his Ferrari. Santalok Racing in their Audi in 3rd position, and then the Aston Martin in the end ending up 4 tenths of a second back in 4th, with TFT Racing Mercedes in 5th, Red Ant in 6th, and they are all separated by half a second. Even Proton Uber Competition is within that half a second. So the top 7 separated by half a second. Impressive. Carla, what have you got for us?
Down here with Alexander. Well done. How did that feel? You have a big smile on your face.
Yes, it was a lot of fun for me. It was a little bit like in the middle of my quali part, I was thinking, oh, maybe I push a little bit over, and then I said, okay, take 1 lap to calm down, and then I just said, okay, I take 1 last chance. And the team said, okay. Like, I remember it is P1 so far, so yeah, crossing fingers, and I had fun for sure.
That sounds really good. Everyone here in the pit lane is telling me about the high tire use on this fast track. Is that something that you paid a lot of attention to now particularly, or was it the goal for you to be as quick as possible?
No, it's always the goal to hold much tires as possible for also the other 2 drivers, because it makes absolutely no sense if I destroy the tires in the first quali and then we just get dropped in quali 2 and 3. So I took care as best as possible for me. Yeah, I think it is quite okay. The tires feels good so far. But yeah, for sure, we always have to take care. And tomorrow in the hot race, it will be quite difficult to take care of this black rubber.
You're the first driver. That means you have to watch the other two now, hopefully, potentially bring it home. How nervous do you get in that situation?
Not really. I trust the other two guys totally. For me, it is more about, it is a 24-hour race. For sure, it's always nice to be in the front, especially also in the quali. But that's not our main focus. It's nice that we are now in this position, but honestly, it's so much luck with traffic and tires for sure. So for me, it's totally fine. Let's see what the guys can do, and I'm happy for everything when they just bring the car back. So, but I'm in fully trust they will push as much as possible, and we will have a good grid position for tomorrow for the long race.
That sounds very relaxed. So let's see what your teammates do.
Thank you very much.
So qualifying 1 is done, and we now await cars on circuit for the second session of qualifying. A little bit more free now to use whichever driver you like. So many of our GT3 cars with 4 or 5 drivers, so it's not going to be completely obvious. In fact, nobody is entered with just 3 drivers in their lineup, so not fully obvious as to who we will see in the next part of the session, but you can imagine that those that have semi-pro drivers or pros will be using them from now on.
Well, with the exception of our current provisional pole-sitting car, Scuderia Praha Racing, who've got 4 drivers, 1 semi-pro, which they've got to use at the end, which is Joseph Krail. So they've got a choice now of, they've got Dennis Vasek in the car, and they've got a choice of 2 other Rams to use now. So they've got to do that. So that car's got to sit. We've got to wait for Joseph Krail to go in its 3rd run, so we won't be seeing them. I said before this, at the beginning of this, Ben, after that first session with the TCR and all the other classes there, that it was tight, and I didn't believe this could be that tight either. But as you said quite right at the end there, half a second covering the first, less than half a second actually, covering the first 7 straight off. This is going to be an extraordinary race tomorrow.
And you know as well as I do that AM drivers don't tend to sort of get to that maximum peak, and so that's when you see the really tight qualifying sessions, when everyone's at the very limit of the possibility of the GT3 regulations. We haven't got there yet. We haven't got a load of pro drivers in the cars.
Exactly. A whole bunch of pros are going to do that. They're all going to be thereabouts, aren't they? Well, you're absolutely spot on. It's I mean, it bodes so well for this next 2 sessions we've got, which is just we've got cars out on track now. So who's first out on track? It's the 71. Which is the Utah Racing again. That was straight out on the first session, wasn't it, as well?
And it is...
Again, that's an all-AM lineup, 5 drivers, so 2 to drop, 3. Do you think they've got like names in a hat in the box, and just they're all the same category? So they've got names in a hat. Who's going to get to drive it?
Well, the other interesting thing about Utah Racing is we're used to seeing that as an all-Lithuanian entry. Yes, they are still entered under the Lithuanian flag, and Giliaukas, who we saw in the first part of qualifying, is the Lithuanian link, but usually he's got a load of Lithuanian mates. For this race, we've got Lars Violen, who is entered under a English-British flag, Gavin Pickering, and then Zhang Yaikui, who is Chinese, and then obviously Nicola Michelin, who is with his Italian flag. He's the other driver that we're used to seeing in that car, but quite a different lineup in general at Utah Racing in their Audi for this weekend. Dominic Ang in the Viper Nissan Mercedes is another usual driver in the 65 car. He's out on circuit right now, and quite a few more drivers coming out onto circuit. We've got Torsten Kratz in the Hoffer Racing number 11, Benji Pack in the TFT Racing Mercedes, Kobe De Bruyker in Red Ant Racing Mercedes, and Patrick Liddy in the Get Speed Mercedes. But still also a fair few cars not on track.
Yeah, I thought there'd been a few out a bit more already. I'm quite surprised with that. It's still, what's the temperature at the moment? Still, what are we about? 17, 18 degrees, I think, at the moment still. Track temperature obviously a little bit higher. That's ambient. I'm intrigued to see how the ERA Motorsport Ferrari 296 is going to pan out, because they've got 5 drivers, 2 AM. Sorry, my apologies. 1 AM, 2 AM pluses, 1 semi-pro, and a pro. So that's a fair old mix and selection in that car. That's the number 81 ERA Motorsport car, 296 Ferrari.
Joseph Kraul out in the Scuderia Praha Ferrari. Now, he is definitely the most pro in that car. Interesting they've decided to put him out in this session when you've got the better tyre So they're using the Pro driver whilst the tyre is better, which presumably then really sacrifices what the or the less experienced driver can do in the third session, Peter.
Well, that's what I was just saying. That surprised me, because I thought he'd go last being a semi-pro, because the other 3 drivers I've got on the list are all AMs. So I'm not quite sure how that's got into the order there, so maybe there's an update on the entry list that we haven't seen.
Well, no, I mean, what it means is you're going to have one of the Vibos, Miroslav or Matthias, driving in the third session on older tyres, which is really going to affect their average. It's really fascinating to see some slightly different approaches in this qualifying session and this qualifying 2. Still waiting to see the Santalok Audi driver. Proton Uber also late out onto the track. Into Racing still not on track either. We saw them coming in early, so that car's been really sitting in pit lane waiting to come out. And then Continental Racing by Simpson, their Audi is yet to go out on circuit.
So so Era Motorsport choosing to do the same option with Ryan Deal in that car straight away. The Pro that's going to be in that car, so that car's going to jump up the order. Currently 14th at the very back, as it were, of this session. So I wouldn't be surprised if that fires up the order fairly shortly.
I haven't really got any proper lap times in yet. Dominic Ang now being early out onto circuit, up to speed in his Mercedes, that very unique Viper Nisa livery. And the only other car really that's got any pace in it at all is the Jutta Racing Audi. Kobe De Broekers now jumps to the top of the timing in his Red Ant Mercedes, so that the dirty tyres have been cleaned. And now Torsten Kratz sets his first time. But these times are still a decent second off what we saw in qualifying 1. 9 minutes and 50 seconds remaining.
Yeah, 1:41.9, so it's not quite there yet. But you say it's first real flying lap. It doesn't count that much more, but still fairly close. So Patrick Liddy, those third in the Get Speed Mercedes, a 1:42.335. So still only just over half a second on the top 3 straight away.
Well, it's actually Patrick Liddy's the fastest man in the session so far with a 1:41.9. His average is the 1:42.
Benjamin Pack's just done that, the TFT Racing Mercedes. So it's Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the moment. A 1:41.855 for Benjamin Pack in the TFT Racing Mercedes.
Just hearing from our eyes on the ground. Thank you, Simon Hill, who I shared the commentary box with in Paul Ricard. It's his son in the car right now, not Ryan DL. Ryan will be going out last, so the driver ID is wrong on that car. And I wonder whether there might be a few that's happening to, although I'm going to suggest that Joseph Crowell is in the 56 Ferrari, because that's just popped to the top of the timing by half a second. A 1:41.326 is the fastest, not quite the fastest time we've seen, but not far off on his first attempt as well. So expecting to see that car be able to go faster on this lap.
Well, that would make more sense in the Era Motorsport number 81 Ferrari 296, because that's Jake Hill, semi-pro, who's the current British Touring Car champion.
Recently announcing that he will not continue in British Touring Cars as he goes into international motorsport.
I was going to say as of this week, but recently announced as of this week, not ending his touring car career as of this week. Going to the end of the season, quite obviously with MB Motorsport. Mark Blundell, of course, who runs him. Former Formula 1 driver and former commentator a bit.
Liddy comes over the line to improve his time, but the average stays in 6th fastest overall, 42.1. Best average 41.4, sorry, from Joseph Crowell. Second fastest TFT, average 41.6. So 2.5 tenths of a second between Scuderia Praha and TFT. It's Benjamin Pack award the TFT car. That's a beautiful, beautiful livery on that Mercedes. Again, a team that joined us in Paul Ricard, French team running the French Championship, and they obviously loved it so much that they came back for more with Jordan Boisson and Patrick Charlier, who've also got a GT2 car that they have raced. But Pack, fastest of anybody through the first sector of the lap, purple in the first sector. I'd be surprised to see him go faster than Joseph Crowell, but maybe there is a chance.
Ramez Azam in the Haas RT Audi R8 just pops up to 9th with a 1:42.7. And I'm still waiting to see.
And that actually is the that's the fastest lap of the session so far from Ramaz. I was about to say that he was really impressive at Ricard, and he continues to be so, but the average of that car, because of the slow first session, means that they are only in 9th, but a 1:41.284 is the fastest time that we have seen across both sessions so far. Pack, I think, probably is going to go faster than it, though, because he's coming to the end of the lap now.
As is Jake Hill in the 81 Ferrari.
Yes, Jake has a middle sector that's better than anybody else.
Correct in turn 13, comes to turn 14 now. He's about to complete the lap. Hopefully he's going to improve.
It will be TFT first, a 1:40.8 from TFT Racing. But what will Jake do coming across the line? A 1:41.2 for Jake Hill. So actually, Benjamin Pack with a 1:40.857 puts the TFT Racing Mercedes on provisional pole and goes faster than anybody by basically half a second. That is a mighty lap from the Frenchman.
1:40.857. That's an extraordinary jump, isn't it? I wasn't expecting to see that straight away.
And guess who they've got coming up in the third session? Probably our fastest driver on the entry list in that TFT Racing Mercedes.
Would that be Mr. Engel?
Maro Engel.
Because he's no good in a Mercedes, is he? No experience, whatever. Just shoot him in.
I love that. I love that they actually have been, they've taken this so seriously that they've drafted in a Mercedes Pro. And it's always great to see that kind of level of driver in the Creventic series, in this Michelin 24H series for 2025. Lots of laps still popping in, but nobody going purple, and starting to see people coming into the pits now. Ramez Azam for Haas RT, reckoning a 41.2 is about his maximum. I would agree. That is a mighty lap. It's a driver coach in the Middle East is Ramez. I have a feeling that we saw him in the Into Africa car in Paul Ricard. So he's moved across from the Ferrari to the Audi. My memory might be not being kind to me there. We've got purple sectors again for Jake Hill. And he's got a nice little slipstream coming out the final turn. He comes towards the line. It's a 1:41.1 for Jake Hill and a slower final sector. So actually, it wasn't a slipstream. It was a hindrance for Hill. Even though the timing screen says it's Ryan Dial, it is, we are informed reliably. Jake in the car. And up to third position in the Santaloc Audi is Ella Earhart with a 1:46.93. Their average just over 0.3 of a second off the TFT Mercedes. It's Mercedes, Ferrari, Audi with 3 minutes and 30 seconds remaining.
Yeah, Jake Hill there, just not getting the run of the traffic into there and just not quite getting that Ferrari quite hooked up to his liking at the moment. And I'm sure we'll have a chat with him later about that, because I'm surprised to see him not a little bit further up the field. So a little bit of traffic issues there for Jake, I think, for that one. So we'll see what this next lap brings in. But it's Santaloc Junior Team, Elia Earhart at the very top at the moment. It's Audi, 2 Mercedes, Aston Martin, Porsche at the top. Axel Jeffries we have in, is the first of the Ferraris into Africa Racing. 1:41.1.
With 2.5 minutes remaining, just confirmation that Maro Engel will be getting into the car for the third qualifying session in the car that sits on the pole position for the moment. Graphics on the left-hand side, the session time rather than the average time. So Pack a whole half second faster than Joseph Kral, but the average is only a 10th between the Mercedes and the Ferrari. But the Ferrari is going to have a Vibo in it, so it's going to have an AM driver in it, and the TFT Mercedes is going to have an Engel in it. Can that be a separate class rather than...
Almost needs to be, doesn't it? Yes. Yeah. He's certainly warranted. He's worthy of his own class, isn't he?
great work from Benjamin Pack. Absolutely deserves the slap on the back and the congratulation from the team, because nobody has got themselves into the 1 minute 40.8. Now the question is, what does Maro do in exactly the same car? This is really cool for Benjamin Pack, because he's going to be able to watch Maro Engel, one of the very, very best GT3 drivers in the world, certainly when it comes to driving a Mercedes. He can compare himself identically to Maro Engel.
And he'll be looking at that data this afternoon, won't he? A bit later on this evening. Before that night session, he'll be going through
I'll have a print off, please.
How does he do that? There was a, I won't tell you who it was, but there was a driver at Goodwood Revival last weekend who was telling me, who's an ex-pro driver, I would say, a little bit older now, had a three-time Le Mans winner in the car, shall we say. And at one point he just said, everywhere except one place, he said, going to St Mary's, he was 24 miles an hour quicker than me. And he just said, I don't know how he gets it stopped and turned in.
20,
and he was just, and he showed me the data on his website. I don't believe it's 24 miles an hour.
In the same car?
And in the same car. And he said, everywhere else, he said, it was 1,000th, 100th, it was all that it was, not even a 10th. That one bit, I don't know how he did it. So exactly what he's going to be doing, isn't he, looking at that data of Maro Engel. When he set the time, of course, which is going to come up. Our session is about to end. We have got 20 seconds remaining on the clock of this second run.
But Axel Jeffries is in the Into Africa Racing by Dragon Ferrari. He must have only just come out onto circuit. He's only done 4 laps on the board. And his last lap was a 1:41.368. Now, obviously, the average for that car is on the lower end, because we saw Zoli only do a couple of laps, and it was a 1:44.185 for Letlacker. So we would expect an improvement, but I presume our camera guys can't find the Into Africa Ferrari. There are 4 cars out on circuit still, and 3 of them have got green sectors in the first part of the lap. Michelin in the Uta Racing Audi, who's been out there for the whole session, actually. He's done 14 laps on those tyres, but sits in 13th spot on the average. And Vladikin in the Continental Racing by Simpson Audi is just on his 4th lap now. There is Jeffries, who takes the checkered flag, in fact. So that's a slightly disappointing session, I would say. A 1:41.368 is a great time, but I imagine he could possibly have found some more.
I mean, 1:41 seems to be the time for that Ferraris at the moment, doesn't it? That's what everybody seems to be getting out of it. Axel Jeffries, Jake Hill, getting the same time out of that. Scuderia Ferrari, that's on a 1:41.3. So that seems to be the number for that car at the moment, or that model of car.
1:42.9 for Michelin. So stays in 13th position. Still waiting for Vladikin to finish his lap in the Continental by Simpson Racing Audi, and it's a 1:42.258, and he takes a checkered flag, so they stay down in 12th position, so no real improvements. It's TFT Racing at the top of the timesheets after the second qualifying session, with Benjamin Pack putting a lap time half a second faster than anybody else has managed so far in qualifying here in Barcelona. Let's go down to Carla.
The TFT box with Benjamin, half a second faster than all the rest. Congratulations, that looks quite good for now.
Yeah, thank you so much. The car was great, so thanks to all the team, all my teammates. We did a great job until now, so we are leading, so it's good. Now Maro is in the car, so hopefully we do a pole position. I think he has a good car. I left him a bit with good tires, so normally it will be fine.
How do you experience Barcelona now that it's getting a little bit cooler than it was in the beginning of the qualifying session? What is the experience for you?
Yeah, actually it's okay. It's not it's cool, yes, but it's not also that warm. So all the week was a good weather, so it's nice. And now it's fresher, so we will be faster. So it's even better for us.
I must say, you look quite relaxed. I wouldn't think that you just got out of the car and put in the absolute fastest lap right now. Is that because you feel so comfortable in it, or are you just way too used to it by now?
No, I'm a relaxing guy, so I'm very relaxed, and I'm super relaxed for also in the car, so that's also good. Not a lot of pressure between qualifying and free practice all the way, so it's quite nice. Yeah, it's maybe my key. So let's hope it will be a pole position and a good race altogether.
Let's cross fingers for Maro then.
Thank you.
I don't think Maro Engel needs many fingers crossed for him, but it's very kind and generous of you. He's going to be... Well, I'm excited to see just how spectacular Maro Engel will be, because there's sort of no need to be. You're Maro Engel, you can drive...
The danger is, Ben, you might have oversold him here.
Yeah, well, I know.
He might want to go, hang on, it's a 24-hour race, got nothing to prove, and just have a little Sunday drive, pot around. I doubt it.
You can't oversell Maro Engel. It's like overselling Kevin Estra. Like, you just know that when he gets in the car, it's going to be...
Fireworks.
Mega, yeah.
Yeah.
Who else are we going to be seeing in this final part of the session? Well, presumably Ryan DL is going to be in the final part of the session, the final session, sorry, in the Era Motorsport Ferrari.
And presumably Pierre Caffa in the Santalot Junior Audi.
Yes, that would make a lot of
Number
sense.
18.
Hoffa Racing, who have they got in there? Who have they got in their lineup? Because the 56 is going to drop down the order. Second position at the moment for Scuderia Praha, but an AM driver will be getting in because they don't have another pro in that car unless our entry list is missing somebody, which it shouldn't be. So the Hoffa guys, who have they got? They've only got AMs as well, so they're going to be dropping down. It'll be probably Maxi Partau that will be in that Hoffa Racing Mercedes. And for Red Ant, it's going to be in the 93 car. Well, they're all semi-pros, so it could be probably Loic Hartog I would put in for the next part of the session. Carla, you had some news for us?
Well, it's not really news as such, is it? But it's something that I just find really interesting in this pit lane. You really see different ways of how they treat the tires in between sessions. For example, Maro, who just got in, his tires are not in tire warmers, and let's make clear, you're not allowed to actually warm the tires. You can cover them to keep the heat within the tire as well as possible. But then I'm here next to the Haas racing team, for example, and they have the tires fully covered to make sure that the heat stays in. I guess that's a bit a question of how hot did they get, and also the preference of the driver, maybe. But nonetheless, a very interesting difference to see here in the pit lane.
Snowy, how much of a difference is that going to make, wrapping them up versus not wrapped? I suppose it's like being clothed or not. Not going to go there. But, you know, sleeping in a sleeping bag versus not sleeping in a sleeping bag.
I think you can overanalyze these things. My view on this has always been, I'm probably going to get shot for this now after 20 odd years ago since I've done this, but where is qualifying? Why is it so important? It's bragging rights, isn't it, really? It's a 24-hour race, so it doesn't really matter if you start right at the front or the second row or the third row, the top 10. To be frank, if you start at the back, it's not the end of the world. I can hear the pit lane now just collective gasp at what I've just said, but it's a 24-hour race.
Yeah,
but there's bragging rights. So I just think it gets a little bit too involved sometimes.
But it also takes. We've seen it taking time for these Michelin tyres to get back up to temperature, having sat in the pit lane for a while. If there's something you can do to make that better, then do it. Surely.
But it's psychological. It's not real. It's psychological.
So you're saying that wrapping the tyre doesn't make any difference?
I think it's infinitesimal, if I'm honest. But I think it's.
Jesus, that's a big word.
I think it's the only one I'm going to use all weekend. But I do think it's more than anything else. It's psychological. If you go out and say, right, we've maintained the tyre temperature, it's only dropped by 5 degrees. The driver goes out and does that. Let's admit it. We've had engineers tell us certain things. It's about confidence in the car. You know, you will go and push it. Whereas if you're not sure, you will hold back, and you've got a very short session, and you'll waste the time. So yes, it's psychological. There you go, a little bit of insight.
Well, no, that's fascinating because so much about performing in a race car is about confidence in what you've got, and whether that be a car that works or just being confident with what you've got is going to make a huge difference in what you can do. So Yeah, I mean, I know that I'd be wanting tyre warmers if I had the option, but if it doesn't actually make a difference other than in my brain, well, still it makes a difference. Maro Engel comes out onto circuit into turn 1 in the TFT Racing Mercedes. Interesting down in pit lane. I'm not sure if Carla's being a little sneak here, but what have you got news for us, Carla? What have you seen?
In the team, but they did take the tires off. They kept the same tires, and it looks like they're putting some barbed wire on it, almost. I'm not quite sure what's going on. I'm going to try to find more information on that. But nonetheless, it seems like the car of Simpson that I'm just standing next to had some sort of issue and needed to get that sorted. Looks good now, though, and the number 69 is out and about. Let me get back to you guys. I will try to find some information and let you know.
Wasn't massively fast in the previous session. Nicolas Michelin, if the driver ID is correct, was in the car and was only able to manage a 42.9. We would expect to see that car do better in his hands. He's one of the stronger drivers in that car. And he also ran the whole session. He went out early, he did the full session and came in right at the end. So used up a lot of tyre on that car too. So yeah, interesting. But I thought the regulation said you couldn't take off the tyres. Or can you? You can take off the tyres as long as you put the same ones back on. Maybe there's a little bit of a...
Well, there has to be something. If you have a puncture or something, you've got to be able to replace a tyre. So there's got to be some allowance, exactly, some leeway for that.
So Era Motorsports driver ID tag definitely facing the wrong direction because it's saying Jake Hill now in the car, but we know that it's Ryan Diel and Jake was in the previous session.
It's corrected in the end of the previous session. It's now stayed on for this session.
Well, no, because they would have turned the knob.
Yeah.
And it's allocated to the wrong driver. So interesting to see what Ryan can do in that car. They've got Ollie Bryant in the car this weekend, which is an additional driver to the usual drivers that we see as part of our 12-hour races, where we have Dwight Merriman, Kyle Tilley, Jake Hill and Ryan Diel. Who else is out on circuit? Matthias Weibo in the Scuderia Praha Ferrari. As we said, Pierre Kaffer in the Santalok Audi. Klaus Bachler. Oh, yes, we didn't look at the Huber competition Porsche, but Bachler in the Porsche. That's going to be a fast lap from him. Javier Morcillo in the E2P Racing Aston Martin. Probably could do this lap in his sleep or in the dark or with his eyes shut because he has done so many laps around the Barcelona circuit. E2P is effectively Equipe du... I can't remember what the P stands for, but pilotage, but in Spanish, so not Equipe Pilotage. And it is his company that runs the car and effectively is a driving school for racing drivers, and he is the instructor. So rarely do we see Javier actually racing the car, but for the Barcelona 24 hours, it's his one chance to jump back in.
And who's gone to the top of the time screen straight away? TFT Racing with Maro Engel at the wheel of a Mercedes GT3 AMG. What a surprise. A 1:41.02, so not quite tipping into that 40 yet that we've seen on the previous session, but he's straight to the top here. The average of that makes it a 1:41.2.
Yeah, 0.7 of a second clear of the rest of the field at the moment, but nobody is close to that time right now. Do you park it or do you go for another one? Body language looks as though he is pushing on for another lap. Let's go quickly down to Carla to answer the questions that she posed a little bit earlier about the Simpson Audi.
Well, listen, I wish it would be more interesting than what I have to say, but I asked the mechanic, and the answer I got was we just had to check the brakes. Not quite sure if that's the full story. Well, let's see how this Audi is going to perform now, but the Simpson Audi is back out on the track, so I guess all good for now.
It answers the question. Thank you very much, Carla. It's nothing worse than having a question left unanswered.
So I wouldn't be able to sleep tonight, would you? Exactly. But that's perfectly reasonable. If you've got a brake issue, you're allowed to take the wheel and tyre off, have a look at the brake issue, as long as you put the same wheel and tyre back on again. Not a problem at all.
answer to the question of whether Maro Engel will go for another lap, I think the answer is no. He's certainly very slow out of 13. Now he's winding up through 14 and 15. So I think he might be going for another lap now, but this last lap is not going to be an improvement. A slow middle sector and a slow final sector. So now a second push lap. Remember, he's not...
Yeah, two seconds, 1:43.2 that lap. He just cool it down, let the get back into the groove, and you see what he does on this session. So we'll have a look at the sector times now, which will be interesting to see for Maro Engel. But it's still that TFT entry. The number 28 car is our provisional pole position with just over 8 minutes elapsed of this final session for pole position, for the overall pole position for the 24-hour of 2025.
Thank you for Peter Mackay for translating driving school into Spanish. Escuela por pilotos. I've probably said wrong as well. Ryan DL has been off circuit, I am hearing. Here is a replay coming into turn 7. So that's the uphill left-hander. Always a bit tricky because it tightens on the exit.
Yeah, too much curb on the left-hand side. Just kissed the curb on the left-hand side, hooked it up. It just moved the car across a couple of feet to the right, and then all of a sudden you're running over the track on the curbs on the right-hand side. So soon unsettles a car on that. And now he's got to get the whole thing back together again. So there's an entire sector just lost there, just from a little bit of curb on the left-hand side, and it's downhill left there from that turn 5 up the hill. It's very, very tricky. I always found that turn 9 at the top of the hill there was really, really hard. It's unsighted. You've got to keep your foot in, certainly in a modern aero GT3 car, because if you lift off, the aero goes away and the whole thing becomes all crossed hand and up, complicated, and it's like driving a 2CV over the top. If you lift off, you've got to keep your foot in.
That's the sort of thing I would be doing, isn't it? No professional GT1 career for me, but a C1, perfect. Maro Engel does improve his lap time to a 1:40, so he does dip in to the 1:40s, but it's a 9:92. Whisper it, he's still a 10th off Benjamin Pack. Benjamin Pack's going to be flying that flag so high this evening if Maro Engel doesn't find another lap.
What did I say about bragging rights? Exactly.
And fair enough.
Yeah.
Put it on your Instagram and promote it, Benjamin, because it's quite possible.
Pierre Caffer goes second, as we predicted. So with these drivers opposite, Maro Engel, Pierre Caffer, Klaus Bachler at the top 3 at the moment. Mercedes, Audi, Porsche, all from TFT, Santalok and Proton. And as I put that, look, Hartig demotes is the word I'm looking for, thank you. It's early in the weekend. The Proton Huber competition, Klaus Bachler, Porsche to 4th position. Look at the red ant Porsche. Pierre Caffer just goes slightly quicker, but still doesn't improve.
Less than a 10th of a second between Caffer and Hartog. Less than a 10th of a second between Hartog and Bachler. And just over a 10th of a second between Bachler and Partel. That's your top 5 behind Maro Engel. And that TFT car has a clear 4/10 of a second advantage. Even though Engel's going to go faster again, this might be the flag being pulled down from Benjamin Pack's Winnebago this evening. And Engel comes to the line with a 40.622. Moves the barrier far away from everybody else. Half a second gap now between TFT and the rest. And that is why you hire Maro Engel for your weekend racing the 24 hours. He's going to have a lot of work to do this weekend, Maro. But I'm so excited to see what TFT can do with their lineup. Remember, you cannot win a 24-hour race with just a single driver. You need the combination. You need to see how much work Maro has done with the other drivers. When Benjamin Pack, how much have they helped Jordan Boisson and Patrick Charlier, the other 2 AM drivers in that car? You're only as good as your weakest link. That's really important in these 24H series races.
You've only got to look at the attitude of that car, Maro Engel driving it and setting it on that lap there. He doesn't drive the car. He wears it like a favourite suit, doesn't he? Puts the car on, goes and does what he does and gets out of it. Doesn't matter what colour you paint it, what it is, he's just at home in a Mercedes.
What would be really interesting actually is to find out how the car feels on a Michelin tyre versus what they use, because he's so used to GT3 SRO regs where they use a different tyre supplier. what is it like on a Michelin? How does it feel? Does it make the car feel alive? Does it make the car feel sloppy and floppy? It'd be really interesting to see, actually.
I think we need to get Carl to go and find out.
There we go, a Federer question. They're all out on circuit because they don't have to save the tyres for anybody else now. So we are seeing lap times continue to improve.
Just over 2 minutes remaining, Ben.
But nobody is even in the 40s. Backler has done a 41.3, 41.7 for Stuart White, 41.5 for Ryan Diel. It's we're a long way off those 1 minute 40s, and of course we've got 5 Mercedes in the field, so you can't say, oh, it's a BOP thing for Mercedes. It's just TFT have got their car hooked up for a one lap, and
they've also got Maro Engel. Sorry to oversell it as you did, but I'm agreeing with you.
But then they've got to still have a car that can do a stint, which is a very, as you say,
just one driver. Exactly.
Very different setup will be needed to get the tyre across a full stint versus a single lap. But there is Maro Engel getting out the car. He will have to keep his fingers and toes crossed for another minute and 15 seconds, but I would say relatively slam dunk that is your pole car for tomorrow's 24-hour Barcelona race. Era Motorsport still pushing on. Ryan Diel in that car, but it's down in 12th position after 17 laps with an average of 42.82. Just behind Viper Nisa, who's down there, and the Continental Racing by Simpson is also down there. The Maslim Zlilov with a 43.2. Oh, well, they've already got their fingers up saying number one. So even if everyone else is still out on circuit trying, TFT know that they've got that pole position.
30 seconds remaining.
And an improvement from Pierre Caffer, 41.476. That's a better lap time than Caffer's managed in this session.
It's still 0.8 off, though, isn't it?
But it's still 2.8.
Sorry. Sorry to pour cold water on that, but...
It just moves him a little bit out of the threat from Klaus Bachler.
Correct, but not close enough to P1.
And Loic Hartog on the second row. Now, is he still pushing? Because he's only 0.02 of a second off Bachler, and he's still on the second row, but he'd be ahead of Bachler in third position if he can find an improvement. And he is still pushing, actually, so keep an eye on the 93 Red Ant Racing Mercedes.
Coming into the final section, it's at turn 12 now, so he's going to literally coming out into the final double right fast sweep where they've got rid of the chicane, mercifully got it back to the circuit that it used to be, and better for it, I say. So into turn 14 now, so this is the 93 Red Ant car coming through.
Is he diving to the pit lane?
No, he's dived into the pits, so aborted the lap there.
Well, there we go. I think now officially they can have their pose. You've got Patrick Charlier, the Canadian, in the middle there. On the left-hand side, you have...
And they've got the drivers in height order as well. I like that, yeah. Ascending order, left to right, in terms of height.
Oh, don't doubt our photographer for a 24H series. They are proper pros. And Jordan Boisson and Patrick Charlier there on the left-hand side, congratulating each other. Obviously, Boisson was in the car in the first part of the session, but Pack and Engel were the real stars of the show, and I think Carla is down there. Let's go to her.
Maro, can I grab you for a second? Hold on. This is just celebrations here and getting ready for the interview as I speak. Congratulations, that was rapid. How did that feel?
Yeah, it's great. Great job from the whole team. From the first test session, the team did a great job, gave us a good car, and obviously my two teammates teed it up nicely, and I actually had the easy job, to be honest, so it was good, yeah.
So the teammate before you, I asked about how it was, tires and so on, and he said, I left enough tire for Maro. Was that the case, or did you have to fight?
Yeah, for sure. He did a good job, and that obviously helps. But yeah, in this format of qualifying, it's interesting when you're doing your segment on a used tire. It's a little bit more lively.
I must say, watching you, it felt a little bit like, yeah, you're taking your time. You're very comfortable that this is going to be quick in the end. How is it really sitting in there? And there is some pressure on you because people expect something.
To be honest, I mean, they did a great job. You know, I think we had a nice advantage on the average going into the last session. So I knew we just needed a one good clean lap, and I was able to put that in. So very happy to be starting on pole.
The car on Michelin tires, this is what is going on this season. How does that feel? Any difference to anything else that you've experienced? Good, bad?
Yeah, every tire is a little bit different, but we know the Michelin's a very good tire, and it's behaving well, and let's hope it behaves well for 24 hours.
That's a very smooth answer to that one. Are you feeling good and ready for the 24-hour race tomorrow? I mean, a lot can happen, we all know that. How are you going into this?
Yeah, for sure. We prepared well. We've done a lot of driver changes. Team's done a great job with the car, the engineers. So we have a good game plan, but now let's see how the race goes.
Absolutely, we will see. Good luck for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Fastest lap time for a GT3 car around this circuit, set by Vincent Abril in International GT Open, a 38.7. So a good couple of seconds off this, but this time a good second faster than what we managed last year on the Hankook tyre. So Maro Engel and Benjamin Pack, Jordan Boisson and Patrick Charlier on the pole position by a chunky margin over the Santalok Junior Team Audi of Pierre Caffer in the end. Klaus Bachler and the Proton Uber Competition Porsche in third position, 0.02 of a second ahead of Red Ant Racing's Mercedes, and it was tight again to Scuderia Praha Ferrari that sits on row 3 with Hoffa Racing Mercedes down in 6th position. They're the best of the AM category cars ahead of Get Speed's Mercedes, E2P's Aston Martin down 3rd in category, 8th position in GT3. Then it's into Africa Racing Ferrari, Haas RT in 10th position, Viper Nisa, the all Malaysian team, down in 11th, and ERA on average 12th position, but watch how they ebb and flow through the 24-hour race. Continental Racing and Jutta Racing round out our 14 GT3 only entries here at the Barcelona 24 hours. A thrilling and incredibly tight, if you ignore the first car, qualifying session, and it just tees us up for a fascinating 24 hours, Peter.
Definitely so. I think we're going to see a lot of pace at the beginning of this. You'd think a 24-hour, take it steady, whatever. Not so much these days. This has just told us. Well, I think the first hour is going to be fascinating at midday tomorrow.
In the heat of the day as well, we have
Pierre Caffer, Klaus Bachler, and look right at the front there. Obviously, may not be starting the car, but absolutely amazing. I can't wait for that first hour tomorrow.
Midday is when you need to be tuning in with us for the start of the 24 hours of Barcelona. And we will go through for our live coverage all the way through until midday on Sunday. There will be a period where we'll have onboard only through the middle of the night, but you will have Radio Show Limited with you up until 10 o'clock. Let's go back down to Carla, who is hunting around for a Proton Uber competition driver. Klaus Bachler, I believe, is with her.
Was quite intense because this was going up and down between P2 and P3. Tell me, how do you feel about P3 now?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was a really good lap. I was very happy about this. I gave everything. Was the maximum, and it's a long race ahead of us. We try to optimize a little bit the car for the race, guess what we need, and hope in the end we will be in front.
In general, how do you and your teammates feel about going into this 24-hour race? Is the car in a good shape? How do you feel about the Michelin tires? Give me a bit of a forecast. What is going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah, we have a really good car. It's very reliable, the 911 GT3R. It's well prepared. We focused on this because the 24-hour race, many things can happen, and everything has to be well prepared. And yeah, I mean, it's first time for us here with the Michelin tires in Barcelona. It's a track where the tire degradation is quite high, and so far everything looked good, and hopefully in the race it will be same.
Have you decided already who's going to do the start tomorrow at the race?
Not yet. I mean, we wanted to see the quality position. In the end, it's we need to really see our strategy. Could be that I start, but it could also be that one of my teammates is doing the start.
Fantastic. Well, good luck for that then. And we will go straight into the highlights of this qualifying now.
GT3 qualifying, the 24 hours of Barcelona. Already set grids for the GT4 category, the 992s, the TCEs, and the GTXs, and it was the turn of the 14 GT3 cars. An early mistake from Yannick Redon put the Red Ant Mercedes through the gravel, but he kept it facing the right direction and cleaned off the tyres for his teammates in Q2 and Q3. There was some issues for the Continental Racing by Simpson Audi that ended up down in 13th position, but the stars of the show were Benjamin Pack and Maro Engel in the TFT Racing Mercedes, half a second faster than the rest of the GT3 field. Thank you very much for joining us here at Barcelona. The 24 hours is coming up for you Saturday midday. Please join us from 11:30 for our grid walk. And it's myself, Peter Mackay, Peter Snowden, and down in pit lane, John Hindhoff and Carla Velti, that will be guiding you through that 24 hours. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.